Reading music is one of the most important skills you can have as a guitarist because it will deepen and broaden your understanding of the language of music. Today, I'm going to talk about the three most common mediums available for guitarists to learn songs and master their instrument. We're going to be covering tabs, chord diagrams, and sheet music, and note the similarities and differences between each one. In order to learn to read music or any other skill as efficiently as possible, consistency and goal setting are going to be the ways to get there. So as an added bonus, I'd love to give you my free guide for guitarists. It's a quick guide that will break you out of any sticking points and bring you closer to achieving any musical goal you have. Download the guide by using the link in the description, or you can go over to zachsharguitar.com and download it there. Let's jump in. Alright, so first we're going to be talking about something called tabs, or you can call it tablature if you're feeling fancy. If you're going to look up how to play any of your favorite songs on the internet, it's likely that you'll encounter tabs as a way of learning to play those songs. And we're starting here with tabs because tabs might be the easiest way to learn to read music with the guitar. And that's because tabs are basically just a printout of what the guitar looks like without all the bells and whistles. And allow me to tell you what I mean by that. So you'll see on tabs that there are 6 lines, okay? And each of those lines corresponds with a specific string on your guitar. It's as if you're holding your guitar and then you flip it up in front of you, so that way the lower range strings are near the bottom of your field of view and the higher range strings are at the top of your field of view. So going from the bottom of the tab to the top of the tab, you'll have the E string, the A string, the D string, the G string, the B string, and then the high E string. And the notes on tabs are notated by numbers, where each number represents a specific fret that you'll be playing. So when you're looking at tabs, basically what you're seeing are lines that represent the strings, and you're seeing numbers which represent the frets. Next up, we have chord diagrams, which are learning tools for guitarists to learn finger positions for certain chords. And like with tabs, there are lines on chord diagrams that represent the guitar strings. However, the perspective is slightly different. When you're reading the chord diagrams, it's as if you took your guitar and held it in front of you so that the neck is vertical and the headstock is at the top. And the symbols you'll see on chord diagrams are a little bit different than tabs. First, you may see X's, which represent strings that are not played or strummed when you're looking at a chord on the diagram. Next, you may see little circles or O's, which stand for open strings. And so the dots represent where you put your fingers. A lot of chord diagrams you'll find will include numbers in these dots, and those numbers correspond with specific fingers that may be fretting the notes. Like if you see a 1, that represents your index finger, a 2 represents your middle finger, a 3 represents your ring finger, and a 4 represents your pinky. Alright, last on the list we have sheet music, which by far has the steepest learning curve of the bunch. And so sheet music requires an understanding of note names and rhythm values, as well as a novel, abstract, and variable interpretation of the symbols you're reading on the paper, and how those symbols translate into playing the guitar and making the magical music that you're seeing on the page. And in sheet music, we see lines again, but that's the extent of the similarity as far as the lines go between sheet music, chord diagrams, and tabs, because the lines you see in sheet music make up something called a staff. So unlike tabs and chord diagrams, These lines do not indicate strings on a guitar, as sheet music is used by a variety of stringed and non-stringed instruments. Tabs and chord diagrams, on the other hand, are more specific to the guitar. The lines and spaces on sheet music, however, represent different musical pitches when notes are placed on them. The notes on the lines of the staff are E, G, B, D, and F. And so a classic helpful mnemonic device that many of us have heard to help memorize the note names of the lines of the staff would be "every good boy does fine." And so the notes in the spaces in between the lines are F, A, C, and E, which spells face. There are many notes that expand outside the range of the staff, and those go over or next to additional lines called ledger lines. The tricky part for guitarists with sheet music is that a single note on the staff can be played at various points across the fretboard. And I'll show you what I mean by that right now. So let's just take an open E note, for example. That same note is also found here, 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 and here. What? So no form of reading music for the guitar is necessarily better or worse than the others. It's just that there are some differences, and those differences lie in the visual structure, the time required to learn each form, and the format of whatever you're trying to learn as it's being presented to you. And depending on what you're trying to read visually when it comes to learning music, you may be limited to only tabs for songs, like especially if they're modern rock songs, or for other things you may be limited to only sheet music, like if you're trying to learn a classical piece originally written for the violin. And while it will take some time, especially with the sheet music, I'd recommend dipping your toe in all three forms of reading music for the guitar. This will only broaden and deepen your understanding of the language of music. And so that's why whenever possible, I try to include all three forms into my lesson videos, because it gives you each perspective when learning the material. And to help take the mystery out of how you will achieve this or any other music goal, don't forget to download that free guide for guitarists. You can use the link in the description of this video, or you can go to zacksharguitar.com and grab the guide there. Also, if you want to learn one of the most basic ways to read music, consider checking out the video I made that covers the Roman numeral system. If you've got any thoughts or questions about what was discussed today, feel free to drop a comment and let me know. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Zach with Zack Shar Guitar, and I will see you in the next one.